Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. So we are at verse 22 of chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Just to connect it with the previous one. In verse 21, Lord Krishna said, whosoever form any devotee desire to worship with faith, that same faith of his I make firm and unflinching. So Krishna Bhagavan was basically saying that, not just to say a few more things before what happened, that not everybody surrendered to the highest self, and for so many different reasons. And throughout this chapter, he talks about why people don't surrender. So it's a clue to us that what we need to do. But suppose if somebody doesn't surrender to that highest and still has some faith because they have some desire to worship a particular devata, and then there was a lot of different explanation of what these devatas are, then he said that I make that faith stronger in them. So that's what we did last time. So this is verse 22. So should I chant and then everybody follow? Because now we are in person.
Yeah.
Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktaha Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktaha Tasya Radhanamihate Labate cha tata kaman Mayyeva vihitan hitan Saha is he, Taya is with that, Shraddha, and then we talked a lot about what Shraddha is, not just blind faith, but there is some intellectual conviction behind it. Yuktaha, endued. Tasya, of it, Aradhana, worship, Ihate, engage in, Labate, is to obtain, Cha is and, Tataha, from that, Kaman is desires, Maya, by me, Lord Krishna or that Brahman, Eva, surely, Vihitan, ordained, he verily, Tan is those. So basically here, Lord Krishna is going to explain that how, even if somebody approaches these smaller devatas, power is coming from me only. That's the sar of it, but we'll go a little more in detail. So, because the last few shlokas he mentioned that there are people who follow the little devatas. So he's saying that if with Shraddha they worship the devata. And then considering them as a supreme goal, not considering Bhagwan as a supreme goal, and just taking these little devata, as a goal for them. And because they think in their mind that these devatas are strong and powerful enough to fulfill their desire. That's why they will go, because they have that Shraddha, that hey, they can fulfill my desire. And if I worship them, then what happens? So he's saying that if you do everything correctly, there are a lot of things in the shloka that it's not apparent, but it has a deep meaning within it, and all the saints and sages, they open it up. So it's not like if you just worship, you will get it. You have to do your part also, right? Without your own karma, nothing is going to happen. So keep that in mind. So I will gain fulfillment of my desire. And what, Nikhilanandji was saying, you can worship any devta. Take even a stone, pick up from the and put it there, and they call it a shivling. People do that or something, It's saying that anything we develop that faith, because the interesting thing about faith is that faith is what is important. That is going to carry you forward. And we saw that in I think it was chapter 4, Shraddha Man Labhate Jnanam. Without faith or Shraddha, you're not going to even learn anything. So that faith, this is a development of faith that happens, And then you have the faith that this can fulfill my desire. So if you do everything correctly, your desire will get fulfilled. And though he was just saying that how in modern world, they have this term, law of attraction, exactly same thing. That, hey, the universe has all the means to fulfill your desire. If you concentrated effect, the right thing, everything coming together, it will get fulfilled, So it can be anything. So, but the main thing that he's telling about in this verse is that even if those desire gets fulfilled, the source is Bhagwan only. That now we may not know that, but that's what it is, And then he gave a very good example about this. And I think we all will relate to this example, that how this Bhagwan is the one who fulfills our desire through these devatas. So he's saying that it's like a parent, and a small child is there. So the parent fulfills all the desire of the child, right? Now suppose, we don't have that luxury, but in India, you have the servants helping you and all that. So sometimes the child might approach the servant. Hey, mere ko ye khane ko de do, ye chahiye, wo chahiye. And the servant will give him, if, permission from of course, his boss. But so it looks like the servant is giving, but who's giving?
The parent.
Parent. That's what he's saying. Bhagwan is that through these smaller devatas, it's that highest Bhagwan only giving, fulfilling the desire. And because if you think about it, devatas by themselves are not powerful. And there's a whole Upanishad on this, that, unko abhiman ho gaya. Varun Devta and all these Agni Devta ko, and then unko ठीक करने के लिए भगवान को यक्ष के रूप में आना पड़ा है. Whoever has done that Upanishad, and then he has to say that, hey, you don't have power, it's coming from me. And then he was reminding Nikhilanandji that these Devtas are nothing but jivas only, who have kind of got promotions because they have done good karmas. So any one of us can also get that status sometime, who knows, So these are like jivas only, a different stage of evolution. And but उनके ऊपर भगवान एक ही है, जिसके through ये power आता है. And then even in the government you see that, right? You have the president, he has the maximum power, or the constitution you can say, in democracy. Everybody gets the power from there. Then it trickles down. So whoever some clerk is doing some work for you, authority is coming from higher only. That's another way of looking at it. So, and then there is a whole system in place over there of giving results. Karma phaladata, you have heard of that word, right? So he's the giver of that result with that whole law that is put in place of law of karma. So he's the one who gives all these things according to the law of nature, according to the law of karma. So when somebody says, I'm worshipping a stone and I'm going to get my desire fulfilled, it is because he has faith, so he will put in that effort. And, and things will become conducive for him because he's putting in effort. So that's what it is. So in a nutshell, the people who don't surrender to the highest, but try to get their desire fulfilled, and they go here and there, but with faith, they do it, then Bhagwan makes that faith stronger. And then because of this deep faith, slowly what will happen is that after his desire gets fulfilled, he will still continue with that faith. And I think that Meera ji gave the example of her son last time, that how somebody gave him the mantra because he wanted to pass some exam, and he got the whatever marks he wanted. So उनको इतना faith हो गया, exam खत्म हो गया, वो he was continuing, you know. And in that continuation, slowly and steadily, your devotion increase, and then you come to know that Supreme Lord, because then your jigyasa will come out, and also the whole system will start. So it's a long journey this way, but this path also will take you to the goal, because he was just saying that Nikhilananji was explaining that it does not matter which devta you kind of pick to do this, but that faith is the one. Learning how to develop that faith with that is the most important thing, you know. Because basically क्या होता है कि once you have that faith, your faith will become more and more sublime and higher, you know, pervasive kind of thing, you know. And then, like we gave the example that, okay, say one time I'm Lord Krishna's devotee, but I didn't know at that time Lord Krishna is like that Brahman. I'm just looking at it as, okay, he was born here, you know, Devki's son and all that. But once I learned, then I got interested. Hey, what Lord Krishna is saying? He's saying Bhagavad Gita. Then I read that and I do that, and then slowly I realize, hey, this is Supreme Brahman. So that's the journey, and that's the psychology of devotion that he's talking about in this verse. So that's what it is. So any question or comment about this whole thing? Or anybody wants to add anything? Or what he's saying? We kind of know about it, but he has...
Faith works a lot. वो कबीर का उसका दृष्टांत बता दिया ना, अकबर उसका, तो वो पूछता है राजा, तो बोलता है कि भाई बीरबल की भाई फेथ बड़ा कि भाई रियलिटी में सच में भगवान देता है। तो एक गधे को, मरे हुए गधे को पूर के आता है, वहाँ कब्र बना के आ जाता है और बोलता है ये पीर की है। तो वो जब भी अकबर जाता है वहाँ, तो जो भी विश करता है उसकी पूरी होती है, बिकॉज ही हैड फेथ कि वहाँ पीर है।
ओके
फिर जब भी उसकी विशेष पूरी हो जाती है, तो फिर उसको वो खोल के दिखाता है
कि
कि faith has so much power.
So they say, no, faith can move mountains.
Yeah.
Because if you have that faith, you have this concentrated effort, and then the universe kind of comes behind you to get that fulfilled. True.
Faith है तो ही आगे बढ़ता है।
तो ही आगे बढ़ सकता है।
बच्चा स्कूल में जाता है, वो टीचर लिखती है बोर्ड पे ABC, he believes it.
Correct. Yeah.
अगर बिलीव नहीं करे why this is A, तो आगे बढ़ ही नहीं पाएगा। He can't read the sentences then.
Yeah.
He विश्वास रखा टीचर पे कि ये A ही है, तो ही आगे बढ़ पाया।
So I think that here the message is that scriptures are very important, because there is a whole question that Arjun will ask later on, but I'm just bringing that in. That his scriptures are very important, but so is faith in them. Because something can be in front of you, but if you don't have faith, you will never pursue it. You know? So that's what it is. Yeah.
वो कर्मा पे मूवी थी ना, हम लोग उस दिन देख रहे थे, that Thank God.
Oh, there is a movie. I haven't seen it.
It was on Prime Video, but very nice. It was.
Okay, maybe we all can.
वो पूरी बोलते जब लास्ट घड़ियाँ आती है ना, मनुष्य जाता है, तो बोला जाता है ना कि होल लाइफ की पिक्चर उसके सामने आती है, जो भी कर्म किए हैं। तो दैट्स व्हाट दे आर शोइंग। ही मीट्स विद एन एक्सीडेंट, तो लास्ट में उसकी सर्जरी हो रही है, तो ऊपर पहुंच जाता है, ऊपर पहुंच जाता है।
हिंदी की मूवी
इट वाज इन हिंदी। तो
Amazon Prime में। Okay.
अमेजॉन था कि प्राइम वीडियो था? हम लोग दोनों दोपहर में बैठ रहे थे।
I thought Amazon Prime and Prime is the same.
It's same. Yeah. But it was nice कि मनुष्य से कैसे जेलसी भी हो जाती है, किसी को मतलब कर्म भी बन जाते हैं, कि कभी मतलब गलत भी विचार आ जाते हैं, तो सब seeing that everything, तो जस्ट बोलता है सरेंडर किया, तो उसकी सब काम हो गए।
Yeah, I think surrender is a very strong thing.
He
Yes.
surrendered. He realized his mistakes. तो बोले जो लास्ट घड़ी में नहीं हम बोलते हैं कोई सर्जरी इतनी फेटल डेथ से भी निकल आया, तो बोलते अगर लास्ट में तुमने सबसे माफी मांग ली जो भी तुमने कर्म किए थे, सच भी बोल दिया, जिससे झूठ बोला था उससे भी जाके माफी मांग के आए, तो सर्जरी से निकल जाता है वो. That's what they were showing.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Yeah. They call it medical miracles, but does happen. Yes. Who wants to read this? Any volunteer to read the commentary? I'll ask Anil. Yeah. So can we take this closer to you, because how do we do this now? It's going to be a little difficult. But then when I explain, then I have to get back.
Yeah, you do that for you.
Endowed with that faith, he engages in the worship of that Devta, and from it he obtains his desire. All these being ordained indeed by me alone. Imbued with this faith, he invokes the Devta of his choice and gains his desires. And Lord Krishna adds that in all cases, these desires are being verily dispensed by me alone. The self is the source of all activities, gains, fulfillments, and despairs. The sense of joy or sorrow, of success or failure, are all the various mental thought waves, but for the conscious principle illumining them, we would not be aware of any such experience.
So here, Swamiji is bringing us back to, because he always takes us to the highest. That when he said that being verily dispensed by me alone, all the desire, because he's reminding us that without that consciousness, nothing is possible. That's what he's bringing us to. And it's like whether we have a sense of joy, sorrow, success, failure, does not matter. That conscious principle is what illumines our experience. So without that, we cannot function, and that's why he says. So it is a very scientific reason. It's not just, oh, Krishna Bhagwan ne bol diya to aisa. No. We know that without that consciousness, we cannot do anything, and that's what he's bringing us to.
उनको पास कर दीजिए.
Now you finish the whole thing, and then I'll.
Faithful activity in any given field of action brings about, no doubt, complete success, but the very existence of the field, the capacity to act, the fervor of faith that supplies consistency to all efforts, all these are possible only in the medium of the changeless, the actionless, the attributeless, eternal self. And Krishna, identifying himself with this spiritual center of the universe, rightly declares here that he alone is the one that supplies an ever-growing faith in all activities, and ultimately, when the laws of actions are fulfilled to the last bit, both in their intensity and application, it is he alone who dispenses the exact result of each action. When a well-adjusted radio is plugged onto the line of current, according to the station to which the instrument is tuned, the electric current says that it alone is the dispenser of the program available at the station for the listeners.
So here, like I was saying, there's a lot in this paragraph. He's saying that the very existence of the field, जहाँ पर हम काम करते हैं, वो, they call it the field where हमारी कर्म भूमि, that's the word in Hindi or Sanskrit. The capacity to act, that's also coming from the higher self only. The fervor of faith, which he already mentioned, that the faith, he is the one who, that supplies consistencies to all effort. That's exactly what I was saying, because people misunderstand about faith. Faith means, oh, I'm just doing this puja and with puja something will happen. No, nothing is going to happen with just, no, if you have to put in your effort. But it gives us the push to do, the enthusiasm to do forward, to cross all the hurdles. And anybody does any endeavor, it's never going to be without hurdles. We know that. In everybody's field, we know that. So that's what he's saying, the fervor of faith that supplies consistency to all effort. All these are possible only in the medium of changeless, actionless, attributeless, self-eternal. And that's what it is. And the other example, well, he already said that example about the electric current. But here he said that like a radio, you get that nice music and all that because the right circumstances have come with this exact frequency pe wo aaya hai. The same way with all these things coming together, action and result, everything that happens, it happens because of that consciousness. And the other way you can look at it is that, now we have our computer. Without electricity, nothing is going to happen. The moment electricity goes in there and everything starts happening. But the person has to do the effort, right? But you see that whole thing that you need electricity to function. That's how it's not a perfect example, but pretty good one, I would say. That connecting sentence is there. Okay, I'll just read it then.
Since I'm sorry.
Yeah, because of this. Make sure it is working. Yeah. Since the deluded one desires the finite sense objects, they do not come to all satisfying peace, and hence it is said. So he's just connecting with next verse. He's going to talk about people who go for finite results, finite gods will get finite results. Okay, that's why the smaller devatas, they are not the ultimate. And the other way of looking at devata, just to remind you, chapter 3. Any kind of productive potential is also called the devata. Remember we talked about that when you are working in a particular field, it could be science, engineering, whatever, finance, there's a productive potential in that field. You put in that effort, so that devata is nothing but the productive potential of that. That's another scientific way he explained it. That, but that is not an ultimate peace and happiness. And we all know it. No matter what we achieve in this world, somehow it always at the end gives us pain. Because when it goes away, it gives pain or whatever. We already know. And there are many verses to explain that too. So in the next verse, he's going to just say that if you go for finite results, finite devata, everything will be finite only. If you want infinite, you got to go to infinite. Very simple. That's how he's going to explain that.
So then the rituals, how do they fit here?
See, the rituals are just means to get there. Mm-hmm. Rituals is nothing but a discipline.
So it focuses you.
Yes, that is the purpose of it. But you know what has happened in the rituals, unfortunately? Instead of focus, people are getting defocused. They are doing it mechanically. Who kaun aa raha hai, kaun ja raha hai, idhar dekhenge, आरती कर रहे हैं तेरा तुझको अर्पण, but then they are thinking of some other. That's the problem. The whole means of a ritual was to dramatize what you really want to achieve and try to focus, like you said. With all the 5 indriyas you are focusing.
But wasn't it to bring your concentration?
Yes, but now that has become like the ultimate goal for people.
Drama.
ओ ये हवन करना है, ये पूजा करनी है, कर लिया, खत्म हो गया. ये भी नहीं मालूम आफ्टर अ व्हाइल क्यों कर रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं. Nothing,
जो ये very well to do people, वो 15 से बुला करके सब कुछ कराते हैं, कुछ नहीं करते. So they are not gaining anything.
No, I mean, there is a whole science in the subtle world. So I will not completely deny it. We don't understand all that. Maybe some little bit effect might happen, So because there are some realms over there that some people can manipulate because they have, when we say jiva, there are different stage of evolution, right? But most of the people, the saints and sages, they do not want to interfere in your karmic thing. They are capable of doing a lot. Once in a while, for the good of humanity, they might do that. When you see miracles happening, or somebody getting suddenly better,
They
so,
say at least they are doing something.
yeah, I mean there may be a higher purpose that we may not
Yeah.
understand. So it's possible.
नहीं से कुछ तो करते हैं.
Yeah, इंडिया में होता है ना कि
ऐसे
किसी
बोलते
के
हैं.
नाम पे
Kar dena, हाँ. But I personally don't believe in that much. Your own efforts are the most important.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing that could happen is when you are having it done by others, if your wish come true, then you will start to
Have a little faith, and for that purpose, sometimes saints and sages do that. And I was giving the example of Satya Shri Sai Baba,
Yeah.
because he used to वो ऐसे करके कभी किसी को घड़ी देती किसी को, and then his closer devotee, they knew his divinity. So he said, why are you doing that? You are capable of. He's saying, अगर मैं नहीं करूँगा तो आएंगे भी नहीं मेरे पास.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them what they want right now. Ultimately, they will come, faith will develop. Then I will give them what I want to give them. So that exactly what Krishna Bhagavan is saying. That somebody develops that faith, they have a window open to go to the higher.
Yes.
It's just still a window. If you don't
Yeah.
go through that window, you're not going to get it. You'll get stuck at just the lower level only. Yeah. So I think that everybody is getting that picture what he's trying to say here. Yes.
But it's also true that you can say, I did it. Once your
वो
wish
तो फिर अपना अभिमान आ जाएगा. I did
अभिमान
it.
आ गया ना,
There are
उसमें
many
that
different.
is, yeah, because I can do it.
Yes.
Yet don't realize what's behind it.
Correct.
Which is the I, which is what is, your think consciousness. That's your Atma. That
Absolutely.
within you.
And
That's
Krishna
your
Bhagavan
reason.
is so clear in saying that, hey, it's coming from me. So
Yeah.
you better don't have that arrogance.
Yeah.
Right?
But hope
In other words, he's saying that.
It's true that, but if you say Krishna is somebody else but not me, then it's problem there also.
Oh, what you are saying is then you are not saying as yes.
Within you.
Yes.
That's within you that's doing it.
So it's like a
not
definition
right.
of Bhagavan.
Exactly. Then, sometimes you get confused. Krishna is doing it. I am doing it, but it's not the Krishna that's within you.
Yes.
That's
That's a very good point.
In India, they say like more cheating people do, more they go to the temples.
It doesn't have to be, because India there are both kinds of people who go to temple. There are people who are very, very high level. They also go because the vibrations are good. Even if you don't believe in anything, just think of one thing. People who go to temple, वो हमेशा सर झुका के जाते हैं. You are bowing down to something higher than you, so you have some humility, right? So the energy over there is of humility, surrender and all, वो चाहे worldly चीज़ों के लिए आया हो, मगर the vibrations are going to be there. And if you go here versus a bar, you know the difference in the energy. So, but it is up to you what you're trying to get out of there. It's all available. And even with the stone, somebody might say, hey, just a stone. Why you're worshipping that? Other one is seeing Shiva in there.
Shiva.
So.
And then it's a matter of time. जो श्रद्धा से करेगा उसको कम टाइम लगेगा.
हाँ.
और जो वैसे ही कर रहा है, he will eventually get there, but may take forever.
Exactly. So that's why that Nikhilanandji said that this method also works, but it's a slow process and there are a lot of slips. So I'm trying to go from here to kind of New York, and I might take 3 months because I will stop at every little hurdle and I'll get distracted and things like that. Or I can take a straight flight. Yeah. So I think that everybody kind of got this picture of what he's saying. Any other question, comment, or anybody wants to add anything?
We said that Geetas, they are limited powers. And they are limited power, and they give finite results. But on the other hand, we say Krishna is the one giving them all the power, and Krishna also says, you go to anyone and worship, and that actually you're worshipping me. So there's some conflict in here that the smaller, the devtas can do only so much. But on the other hand, we are saying Krishna is doing it. Krishna is giving the power to them.
No, Krishna is giving them that limited power only. For example, just go back to the-
But Krishna also says you go and do the worship of any of them. It comes to me. It comes to me. So even though you are doing to a smaller devta, but as per what Krishna has said, that you are actually doing the worship of me also. So
But not fully understanding who Krishna is then. That's the problem of it. It's like I go and give some money to some clerk, in the end it's going to the government, but I don't have the bigger picture. I just think that, oh, the exchange is right here. That's it. So what Krishna is saying that even though you are worshipping the small devta, but you have not understood who I am yet. That's all it is. It's a limited understanding of the person who is just going to the devta.
It's
Right?
Brahman. It's like
Yeah, but many times Krishna Bhagavan has said, ज्ञानी वो है जो मुझे तत्व से जानता है. To understand the whole picture. Because then, people get fanatic also. And then they start competing. Remember, Swamiji mentioned that how they start fighting, the Shaivites will fight with what you call Vaishnavites. But hey, once you learn that it is the three aspects of the same power, what's there to fight? That's the problem he's saying. So even though the smaller devtas have gotten the power from the higher, this person who just thinks that this is it and nothing else. वो हिंदी में कहा होता है ना, कुएं का मेंढक होता है, उसको लगता है कि यही है. किसी ने बोला
is Shivji considered as the smaller devta?
well, it depends on Shivji can be, if you look at him as a Brahman, then he's Brahman. But if you look at him as a Trinity, उसका शिव तो वो 3 में divide हो गया ना. एक हुआ, so it depends on what you want to look at Shivji. You can look at Shivji as Brahman, there's no problem then. With anyone. Yeah. So there is no competition here, it's just understanding, I think. I don't think there's any competition. And forget about just within Hinduism, the Christianity also, if you go, or Islam also, they call it Allah, we call it Brahman, and they call it God. And Jesus is Son of God, he's just telling you the message of God. He's not even saying I'm God. He's saying,
But see, all our temples have only murtis of the smaller devtas. There's no one.
But there's no problem.
I'm saying, but there's no such thing as God being presented there. You have to go through them.
Vishnu,
Right.
isn't Vishnu the highest
See,
Lord?
very
Right
interesting
here
part.
in this temple we have so many images.
No, but so many is okay if you understand they are, here, if you read Bhagavad Gita, he tells you so many times that higher is one and then it's trickling down. So, but sometimes as a humans, we have a very hard time reaching the highest. It's like suppose, forget about that, just think about it from here right now. If I want to do something with the government, I cannot approach the president suddenly. I gotta go through the small, but knowing fully well that the power is coming from there, So it's like we have limitations because of if I want to pray and I'm not able to do it at my home, I will go to a temple because the atmosphere is better and there is one representative is there, And when I'm invoking him, if I know where it's coming from, that's okay too, right?
Yes, Nirguna, Saguna.
Yeah, Nirguna is very difficult too. And that's why they say that in the Vedant, Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasana. Because nobody can show you who God is. That's why they say, listen. And even here in this beginning of this chapter, that's the first thing he told Arjuna. If you listen to me carefully, I can tell you how to do this journey. How to get the experience of me. It's not that easy, but if you do it, what I'm telling you, you will get it. So I think that whatever you're discussing is our validity. So when it comes to all this chota mota devta or a part of it, it's you have to remember that it's coming from the highest. It's just like that gold ornaments. You know, it can be small ornament, big ornament, a big murti. I mean, it seems that in some China they had not China, Thailand, whole made of gold, right? Some Buddha, and all is gold. That's what he's saying. Buddha of gold is not.
Let me add one thing here. Very good question that you said. So the representation of in Hinduism is the symbol Om. It is even here we put the next layer, but that is so abstract that to develop the complete faith into the consciousness that exists is lost. So this whole mythology that has been promoted to make it easier to develop their faith. So the question you take, so people lose the path, right? Because they get attached to, just like we get attached to our own bodies, they get attached to the particular sort of easily recognizable or relatable deity, because that's just like a ladder, right? So you can go down to the ritual. So in the end, when he says, I am Brahman, I am the Almighty, it's not like Lord Krishna as you look at the deity, but we get lost in that. That is the tragedy of.
Yeah, I think that you said it correctly.
You must see in any temple. Here also we put, when we talk to the other faiths that they come, we created this, there's a full picture of how it is. Okay, we have put that. So it's very interesting, but that gets completely lost, right? The debate is that, okay, the Trinity, the debate is what is the, but then you said it very clearly, that it is your own, that when you look at something, that what exactly do you see? What do you see there? So if you see Lord Shiva as one of the Trinity, only the destruction part, well, that's what you see. So the interesting part is that the Hinduism, the consciousness that we talk about, which is common to all faiths, is the symbol Om.
So it's coming. That's exactly what's coming in Tetri and all.
Chinmay himself, when he puts that board, when he explains it, that's what he does too, right?
Oh yeah, we did a whole Upanishad on this, our group,
So it's a very
Mandukya.
interesting part.
Yes.
So since he mentioned it, I thought I should add that, and that is the ultimate.
Yep, and
even
then
in this Upanishad, you said that day that there was no deity, right? So they gave so many examples of how to focus.
yes, so yeah, because in those days, the Vedic days, they didn't have all this Ram, Krishna, and all the different deities. Yeah, okay. So what we'll do is because the Tetri Upanishad, that verse is very long.
It's the bhav when we go to mandir, what we see there. We
Of
see
course.
it's a God in this thing, murti also. वो भाव से जाते हैं.
वो भाव से जाते हैं. And what Krishna Bhagwan is telling in Bhagavad Gita, तुम समझो कि भगवान है क्या. And अभी उन्होंने खाली शुरुआत की है, okay? This is chapter 7 से शुरू हुआ है.
सदगुरु से किसी ने पूछा सवाल कि आपको कभी गुस्सा नहीं आया है, गुस्सा नहीं आता है, तो व्हाट ही रिप्लाइड, बोले गुस्सा किससे करूं, गुस्सा किससे करूं, मेरे में वही कॉन्शियसनेस है और हर जो भी मेरे को पूरी सृष्टि दिखती है उसमें वही कॉन्शियसनेस है, तो किससे गुस्सा करूं मैं. दैट कॉन्शियसनेस इज द गॉड इन एवरीवेयर.
True, yes. Okay, I'm going to close Bhagavad Gita here. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.